If you feel like you're taking crazy pills, you should consider taking more crazy pills. Hey there, kids, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Uncle Frank. I hope that you are having a great day. And in today's video, we're going to chill out, max, play it all cool, maybe shoot some b-ball outside of the school. Today, I want to talk about collector boosters. The collector booster box concept, the variant booster model, and the effect I believe it will have long term on the various two card games that employ it. If for whatever reason you're unaware of what a collector booster box is, you could think of it as a TCG equivalent to a sports cards hobby box, where it is aimed at the more serious collectors. It has a higher price point per pack, fewer packs per box. But the trade-off is that there are more pulls per box, more hits, so to say. There's a higher expectation of shiny, flashy cards. Again, much like a sports hobby box. So, in theory, you are paying more per box and getting more per box. For the various card games that employ it, I don't know why I said various. It's really only two, right? For the card games that employ it, you are paying a bit of an extra buck in exchange for access to a slightly variant card pool, where certain rarities and certain treatments are only available through the collector box experience. Magic the Gathering has been doing booster boxes, collector boxes now since 2019 with Throne of Eldraine, and Star Wars Limited don't call them collector boxes, they call them Carbonite boosters, but it's the same thing, you know? It is the same thing. Oh, Dragon Ball! Dragon Ball does it too. Dragon Ball has its collector booster variants. I don't know if they call it collector boosters, though. There was a special version of Dragon Ball booster boxes, now that I think about it a bit more. I do remember them doing that. I wonder how that's going. I should check at some point. Anywho, so you guys get the picture, okay? You pay more for a box of cards, and in turn, there is a chance that what you pull... Man, my hair is all messed up. In exchange for paying more, you get better odds, so to say, of pulling shiny cardboard, collectible pieces of cardboard, so to say. Now, if you weren't paying attention, for the first few years, collector boosters for Magic the Gathering, they did not do that well. They weren't received all too well by the average player and collector of Magic the Gathering. Some of that had to do with the predatory pricing of the box themselves. Some of it had to do with the perceived lack of value in the boxes, as well as the sets that a lot of these boxes came out with. I mean, it's not exactly like Throne of Eldraine is a collector's heaven, right? But nowadays, 5 years later, 6 years later, geez, you're seeing a bit of a frenzy for collector boxes. Every new set that has collector boxes has them being bought up, well, sometimes well before release. You are seeing collector boxes hit some pretty impressive all-time highs on the secondary market. And you are seeing people crave collector boxes much more than they would the alternatives, the play booster boxes. What changed? What changed in the last few years? Well, I'll tell you. Sentiment. That's it. Collector boosters didn't suddenly magically get more valuable. There's not magically better cards on them, except by a case-by-case basis, you know. Some sets are valued more than others. But on a whole, collector boosters didn't suddenly become a better deal. What changed is the overall opinion of the average person who might be interested in buying it. There's a few reasons for that. With Magic, at least, we have a pretty good understanding of maybe not the entire process that goes into a collector box, but we do have a pretty good idea of how they'll do as a collector's item. They've been out for a few years now. We have a pretty good picture of them. Wizards is not in any rush to reprint them, especially not the sets that have serialized cards that you can get in the collector boxes. That's a pretty big deal. You see, for collectors, having a unspoken promise to not reprint something, that's a pretty big deal. I don't think Wizards has come out and said that they're never going to reprint these things, but it would be unlikely for them to do it. And that low risk of reprint is appealing to people for a pretty good reason. It means that, it means that the sealed product they hold is not going to be inflated by multiple printings. Pretty good. This has some pros and cons on the market. We've seen it firsthand when it comes to Star Wars Unlimited, what a collector booster box can do to the normal booster boxes in terms of player demand, collector demand, etc. And I think we've seen a lot of it happen with Magic the Gathering too. You see, in the short term, there are short-term and long-term effects of a collector box variant on a card game, on a given set. Let's just go by a set-by-set basis, okay? On an average set that has a regular box and a collector box, during the short term, the regular box is going to seem appealing because of the initial price tag, right? For the majority of the consumers, they're not all long-term investors, they're not all long-term collectors or anything like that. They're not thinking with 10 years out, right? They're just thinking to get the cards. To those people, to the people buying on day one, in theory, again, all in theory, the play booster boxes, the regular booster boxes, are much more appealing than the collectors because they just want to get the cards and play with them, right? Again, this is speaking generally. So yeah, collector booster boxes are bought, but you generally see more play booster boxes being bought in the short term. But in the long term, it's a flip over. You see, for long-term people trying to hold a box for 5, 10 years, things are a bit different because which would you rather have? The mass market model of a given collectible or the theoretically rarer and unlikely to be reprinted variant of that collectible? And I think over the last 3 years, especially, basically 2 years, but some people were buying New Capenna. It's the one, I think. I'll have to go back and check at some point. Over the last few years, people have definitely been speaking out with their wallets more, and you're starting to see these collector boxes really start to appreciate well on the secondary market. There's some of them selling really well. Some of them selling really well before the set's even released, but for the most part, they're doing pretty decent. Do I think that that is a good thing or bad thing? I don't think it's either. I think it's going to have good and bad effects on the long-term health of the card game. It's going to, in theory, my idea, my thought process here is that if you have two items, one of which you think has a much higher chance of appreciating well in the long term, and you only have so much money, and you are thinking long term, you're probably going to go with the item that has better long-term appreciation. And if you are a short-term individual who just wants to get things and play the game and all that jazz, you're going to buy the cheaper item. And I think that those will balance out in the long run. I think in the long run, a collector box is going to be much more desirable than the standard variant, which will cause damage to the price tag of a standard variant long term. What do I mean by that? Well, simple. It means that I think in a world where better boxes exist, there's a lot less interest in a normal booster box, play or otherwise, for the same set after you hit that magical 2-year mark. I don't know if there's too many Magic the Gathering sets or Star Wars sets going forward that will have great appreciation for regular booster boxes in a world where the collector boxes just have so much more going for them. And I think my opinion is that 5 to 10 years from now, a lot of the boxes that are on the market now, a lot of the play booster boxes that are on the market now, are going to look pretty similar to how they look right now. Now, I hope that I'm wrong there. I'm hoping that in the long term, the amount of people who just want to get a hold of the cheaper variants just to play or to do a draft or to just get some 2024 nostalgia, I'm hoping that enough of them will just go for the play boosters regardless, just because of the cheapness of them. Most of them. Not all of them, most of them. But my gut feeling is that, for Magic at least, there's not a lot of inherent interest in play boosters. That's really all I've got. I hope I'm wrong about that, though. What do you guys think? Do you think I'm crazy? Do you think Uncle Frank is talking out of his ass? Or do you think that 5-10 years from now, there's going to be less and less demand for regular play booster boxes when collector boxes exist with collector booster things in them? I don't know. I don't know where I was going with this video. I don't think I had a point. I think I'm just rambling. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, all that wonderful jazz, and I'll see you next time. Ciao.